So the number one question is, what is the subject flow we should follow? I'll repeat again that here it's my personal view, but based on my experience, I think you can do this. First, you should always start with the core topics. That is, I call it as core topics. This makes your foundation of everything else. So here you can start either with FSA or QM. It doesn't matter. You can start with FSA or QM. Whichever you want, you can start it. Okay. Some people would want economics also to be done with together. I generally say economics you can do in between. You know why? Because even if you do economics earlier, it's very high possibility you might forget because it's completely theoretical except some currency calculations. So I recommend this in multiple parts. In the first part, I tell students to do FSA and QM. You can pick up whichever you want. However, if you do FSA earlier, the advantage is that then you do QM. So QM is applicable in all other topics. Okay. But FSA is very lengthy. So it shouldn't happen that you might get lost. That's the thing that people have initially. And some people might find FSA very boring. But whether you are an engineer student or a finance student, these two topics should be covered. And then you can go to the other topics which are going to be related to that. So in the second part, I generally recommend students to do corporate equity. Corporate and equity are somewhat similar. You'll find things overlapping. So immediately after QM, if you do corporate and equity will be great. In the third part, you do the complicated products of fixed income, derivatives, alt, and portfolio. This should be your third. This is where you have a lot of calculations and securities related things. Actually, many people do CFA because of stocks and bonds, and that's all real estate. That's all in third part, right? Finally, in the fourth part, you have economics and ethics. Now, I'm not saying you do economics and ethics completely at the end. However, wherever you feel, you can add one more topic in between, you can do some topics of economics, some topics of ethics somewhere in between, or you can do at the end also, not a problem. I generally introduce economics and ethics somewhere in between, or I keep it at the end. Okay, clear? So you can make these buckets. You can do first, second, third, fourth, and accordingly do it. Economics and ethics, I recommend whenever you feel you're bored with something, you can add, after student generally finishes second part, I sometimes tell students that if they can do two topics together, if they can do fixed income derivatives and 1 hour they can allocate to ethics or economics, then it's not quite boring. Otherwise, just doing theory will be very boring. Got it? Any questions? Yes, on this? Yes. Any further questions, anyone? Okay. 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 I'm self-studying what to do if I feel stuck in the middle of some topics. See, wherever you're self-studying from, can you tell me what source are you using for self-studying? The question is, I'm self-studying. What do I do if I feel stuck in middle of some topics? Yes. Okay. Yes. What is the source that you're studying from? Any particular book that you're referring? Because I can then comment on that. What exactly? Yes. Guys, all of y'all can put up in the chat box what source do you study, so I can comment on that if you want. Okay. I have many people commenting Schwezer. To be honest enough, my experience says that Schwezer is very much sufficient for your exam. Of course, if you do any other resources also, there are many resources. I've seen many resources recommended to me by the students, and most of the resources are very good. So even if you are doing Schwezer or Mark Milgram, that's very good. What I suggest, see, there are not more than 3 or 4 resources, and all of these are very famous and tried and tested by everyone. Okay. Now, whichever source you do, I recommend you that for studying concepts, you keep only one source. Only one source. Don't mix up for concepts, two, three things. This is what my recommendation is for concepts. For questions, for Q banks, guys, for Q banks, you can do anything. In this, whatever you do, everything is great. So in Q banks, if you do CFA Institute, end of the chapter questions, now CFA Institute has paid mocks also. So number one priority you can give to CFA Institute questions. See, in CFA Institute, you have end of the chapter, so many questions. You have paid mocks, you have paid questions extra, those two mocks at the end. Then you have candidate resource questions. So many questions from CFA Institute. Honestly, most of the students, by the time they finish reading the syllabus and then they do CFA questions, they will be already exhausted. That will be already more than sufficient. As per my suggestion, whichever book you use, okay, number one, and then question banks, CFA Institute, number two. If you repeat these two things again and again, trust me, far more than sufficient. If you do only these two things, far more than sufficient without buying any extra mocks or without buying any other resource of QBank. These two things, done. Okay. Is it better studying by official material or other sources? That I will commend. See, for concepts, I don't recommend you to do the whole CFA book. It's too lengthy. Got it? So you refer for concepts, whether you're using Schwezer or you're using your own source or any other professor's source. Concept you do from wherever you cover everything. Just ensure that all the LOS are properly covered. I can tell you about Schwezer and many other resources because I've trained from those. So I can tell you they cover all the LOS properly and they are very much updated. Okay. And I'm sure they have a great team to update that very fast and properly. So do one source which covers all the LOS properly. Then do CFA Institute questions. Once you do this, and if you tell me that Kunal, I'm done with this, now I want to do extra, then you can buy QBank anywhere from open source or wherever you get. Trust me, 90% of the time students don't do this and then they divert from this. They take another source. If someone tells them they take this source, they do this questions and they somehow end up having multiple source, none of them completing. So my motto is that instead of doing multiple source one time, do one source multiple times. Whichever source you do, trust me, whichever source you do that source multiple times rather than doing 10 different sources. From my videos and CFA material, okay, that will be also great. But in my videos, some of the topics are not existing anymore. So when you are looking at my videos, see to it that you ensure that those videos are probably also matching the LOS. Okay, perfect. So this, trust me, if you do CFA Institute, end of the topic questions, they're going to be more than 1,000 questions, I'm sure. Okay. Concept, whatever sources you do, that's going to be 2,000 plus pages. I don't know after that you have time to do something extra. I don't think so, because when I was a candidate, I had one concept source and then questions, a lot of questions I did. Okay. But I didn't had access to so many resources. I gave my CFA level 1 in 2009. I'm sure you might be in some schools at that time. During that time, I tried everything to save money to go to a cyber cafe and get the extra resources. We didn't had so many options in that era, I should say. So even that was sufficient. So I did so many readings. I can honestly tell you, I did 6 to 7 readings for level 2, 8 readings for level 1. I didn't follow the same process for level 3, and that's why I failed. So I think it's more or less about not how intelligent you are. It's honestly, CFA is about hard work more than more about intelligence. If you follow the process, if you follow the reference book, trust me, you pass. Complete the syllabus, do the questions. That's the two motto. Complete the syllabus, do the questions, and repeat. Doesn't matter which source you take, doesn't matter. Okay. Also, I've seen it doesn't even matter how talented you are at your office, how intelligent you are in equity research. I've seen many prominent equity research and fixed income analysts in my class failing. That's not because they don't know things. That's because they don't complete the syllabus. Okay. So there's no alternate to not completing to completing the syllabus. There's no alternate. You have to complete the syllabus, whether you're amateur or you're experienced. Got it? Yes. Anyone has any questions? Uh, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for attending the session. I'll see you all in the next session with the remaining topics of QM. I expect to complete the QM, whatever the questions are, and that will be uploaded as well. Thank you so much once again. Thank you. Thank you. Take care.